going to show you how to make Latticcino using these three colors. You've got two dark colors and you've got white, so this can be fairly tricky when you're heating it. You need to make sure that the end that you're going to attach to your clear punty is flat. So if you're using scrap, if you're going to have any rough ends, it needs to be on this side. So get a grip like that. Take your clear punty and just put the very edge of your glass into the flame, your three pieces. Don't put them all in and don't flash them because they could crack. You need to get a nice fat little heated knob on the end of your clear glass here, and then just smoosh it across like that so that all the glass is actually attached to the clear. Then you go way out on your flame and you stay very carefully in the back flame because the glass can crack and break so easily. These are three pieces of glass trying to get to know each other in the flame, and definitely point it away from yourself because this is the situation that so often comes to grief, and the three pieces, or the white piece in the middle, for instance, part of it can just jump out and go quite far. A small piece of glass once jumped onto my dog who was sleeping near the table, and I smelt the smell of burning hair. Couldn't work it out. He was asleep and his fur was thick enough that it didn't go down to his skin, and I was able to abandon my project fast and get the burning chip of glass off him before he knew what had happened. So if the glass does jump, try to be aware of where it's gone, because it could be going through a plastic bag that is regrettably too near your work area or something like that. So I'm having to give this a lot of concentration because it can really explode. But don't be afraid, you know, just take your time. If you're determined to work with scrap glass, you're going to be an experimenter. I taught myself how to use it because I was working for a company that wanted me to make beads out of recycled glass. It was a big company and I had to melt a lot of glass to satisfy the size of their orders. Now the edges of the glass are going red, including the white inside, so I'm beginning to feel more confident that the glass has become safe. Don't forget to run a little heat all around that join too. So now that the glass is decently heated, I can actually increase the flame and work a little faster. If any of these pieces of glass should separate, that's all right. You can encourage them to flap open, run some heat in between, and then squeeze them like this along so that any air can come out. So the task now is to turn these three flat pieces of glass into a cylinder, into a rod-shaped piece, so that you can go back to the way of pulling that you do with the rods. When you melted three pieces together and made a wadge like this. So you need to make sure you can get quite a lot of roundness just with your mashers. Then you're going to add your second handle. Get it all nice and spread around. Good. So we're going to bathe this thing in heat, remembering that heat can be fed in from your clear glass, so if it's going to get dark and show cool, it'll be at the edges, at each end. You might want to roll the glass on your graphite paddle to make sure it's nice and round, because if you have any corners, it will mean that your stringer has also got an edge to it. So this business of Latticcino is just one of those times when you work calmly and slowly. Can't really hurry the process. All right, I'm ready to pull and to twist. The flying fingers. So I'm starting to pull and staying calm with it. I would like to have one section at least that is reasonably fat, because I like to use that for handles on amphora, but I also want a nice smooth pull in the middle so that I've got a nice length of even pull. Then I go to the end. I'm prone to holding my right hand that you can't see steady and just making a skinny length of Latticcino, just a skinny one, or fine. I'm not in the flame, I'm just above it and dipping in occasionally. This skinny part here will be used for making small earring beads to match a larger bead, or for running around the top, around the neck of a little amphora, sort of a miniaturization of the larger pattern. So I'll have a rim around the amphora that matches the handle, which is a thicker part of glass, which I can show you in a minute when I've done this. There, that's a nice little... Also, these very fine pulls can sometimes turn into tiny tendrils of seaweed when you're making a water bead. So you've got a reasonably smooth pull here, and on this end I've got just a thicker piece which will be useful for a handle on an amphora. So now I'm going to cut the end of this one. I did manage to get a little of the clear glass in, but it doesn't matter, the pull is fine. And then I'm just going to cut this end right back here, so I include that thicker part and put it down here.